Hello, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome back to Sin City Crypto Live. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts, and today, like every single day, coming at you live from our beautiful studio in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. We have an exciting show today. A lot to talk about. Talking about companies moving out of the U.S., Jay Clayton, the former SEC chair, and Dan Morehead, the CEO and founder of Pantera Capital, the largest VC firm in crypto, sat down. We have some video clips of what they talked about. And we have Crypto Lifer joining us for some beautiful charts. We'll get into all that and more. But first, I'd like to introduce you to your other co-host, Robin.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, well, we're an entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where, unlike the other channels, we take all that old, boring, and stale information that they're spitting out, and we repackage it up in a fun and sexy way.
I want to give a couple of real quick special shout-outs. I want to give first and foremost, a big thank you. We have our friend DJ joining us all week to fill in for our man, Rocco. DJ stepped up to the plate. He's going to be running the bars. My boy DJ. Man, what a gem this guy is, DJ. Thank you so much. We love having you in the studio. You're a great dude. And thank you for helping us out while our friend Rocco is apparently getting a haircut. Just kidding. Spending some family time out in California. Also, speaking of shout outs, I do want to give a extremely special shout out to channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you are running a business or you have a friend that's running a business and you're having networking issues or IT problems and you just don't have the time or the expertise, you're going to want to give them a call. They're going to take care of all of that for you so you can focus on making money for your business. If you want more information, visit bluewiretech.com or simply click the link in the description of this video. Now, with that being said, Robin, how was your weekend and what are you looking forward to the most this week?
My weekend, are you like setting me up for something here?
You know what to say. You know what to say.
Well, yesterday I did the Rant and Ramble episode.
That was a good one.
Oh, yeah? You actually watched it?
I watched a few minutes of it, yeah.
Okay. A few minutes. Okay, there you go. See, I knew
Sunday's
I knew you wouldn't
day.
watch the whole thing.
Sunday's family day with my kids, and they refused to let me have my phone in my hand. And
So, yeah, Rant and Ramble. But the Vegas Golden Knights, who is the Vegas hockey team, and they are in the Stanley Cup Finals. So the final series of the hockey championship. Yeah, Stanley Cup. So,
man, Game 5 is tomorrow.
Yeah. So
what are you
Vegas is up 3-1. Can we get a Vegas sound effect here? You know,
That's right.
And so Vegas is up 3-1, and they're gonna close out on Tuesday. And me and your boy over here, that boy, we are gonna we'll be at the game. So,
oh man, I am so stoked. I am so excited for tomorrow. But enough about tomorrow. Let's talk about today. You know, we like to start our show off with some giggles. So let's go ahead and pull up my laptop here. So, you know, we all go through our phases of going on a diet and I'm not going on a diet. Well, you know, once the diet is finally over, we get to unleash just a little bit and, you know, just enjoy some of the things we weren't enjoying when we were on our diet. And dude, kids are the best.
It's like that's literally how David eats cake still today. I brought some pastries in, and my man just cake smashed it right on his face.
Pastries were pretty delicious. Also, excited to see Jimmy back in the chat. We missed you, Jimmy. Where you been, bro? Well, we know where you've been, but we miss you. We have this. This is also very funny. Men only want one thing and it's disgusting. And to this guy said, then wash it. Robin doesn't find that amusing. It's weird. Okay. Do you think it's too inappropriate to find amusing or are you scared to laugh? What's going on here?
Yeah. Okay. Laugh.
You know, speaking of funny, someone who's very funny is Gary Gensler. And well, some of the things he says is also very funny.
Is he funny?
Yeah, he's funny looking. We're not going to make fun of his looks. He also has very funny statements and things he says. And well, here's Exhibit A. Exhibit A, this is tweeted from Gary Gensler. Says there's nothing about the crypto securities markets that suggests that investors and issuers are less deserving of the protections of our securities laws. Congress could have said in the 30s that the security laws applied only to stocks and bonds, but they didn't. So, a lot of things, weren't in the 30s, like the internet, like smartphones, like blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. It's just funny. And I feel like he kind of proved our point by making this tweet and saying what he said. Right, Robin?
Yeah, it's very interesting that he didn't add internet to the 1930s statement, right? I mean,
like, come on, man.
Dude.
It's got to be a joke at this point.
He's
gaslighting us.
Yeah, he is. It's the same as like if they were talking about like gun regulation and being like, well, they clearly didn't mention the fact that you can have an extended mag with 40 extra bullets. The Constitution didn't say anything against that then, and so I don't want to make it. I don't want to touch on the gun thing, but
an analogy.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like laws back in the 30s. You can never, and it's going to be the same now. Like you can't have laws and regulation for the internet and for technology. And who knows where this space is going to be at in 20, 30 years from now. I mean, AI is going to be completely different. The internet's going to be completely different. Think about it. 20 years ago, we had text message. And you had to, if you wanted to do the letter S, you had to click the button. You had to click the 7 button 4 times. Yeah. And so that was 20 years ago. Imagine if that's what you had to do to text. We're not even talking about the internet. That's an analog telephone. If you had to text by hitting the button 7, you had to hit the 7 button 4 times to get the letter S, then imagine how far away we are going to be from the technology that we understand today and what it'll look like 20 years from now. And any regulation that is passed by the FCC or whoever it may be, that's going to, none of it's going to even apply. Yeah, exactly. And so
for some reason, we can't apply that same logic to securities markets or new financial instruments.
Real quick, I do want to give a little love to the chat. If you are new here, say hello so that way we can drop an hola back at you. We have Baby G, Lifer Adam 333, EAD, Keith Bosher, DD, Marsolo, Must Alpha Lamb, Tony C, and Ferreria. I probably butchered that. And also, Dang Man, how you doing?
Wait, what?
I'm doing great. That's literally his name. Dang Man, how you doing? And so to all of you, hola! Welcome.
What is up with some of your names?
What? My name?
No, the names on the YouTube.
That's right.
All right.
Did you shout out our sponsor?
I did shout out our sponsor.
Okay. I didn't know. My bad.
Okay,
cool.
All right. Before we bring Lifer on, let's go over some of the things. We do this every Monday. So if you catch our show on Mondays, you're in a better position. You know why? Because we tell you what's going on and what to expect. So expect some volatility this week. It is going to be a massive week in macro. It's going to be a massive week potentially in crypto. So in 2 days or on, let's actually keep that up there, DJ. In 1 day, so tomorrow, we have inflation data coming out, CPI and the core, year over year, month over month. That comes out tomorrow. It is forecasted to be under 5%. We'll see what it actually comes out to. And then the following day, the FOMC concludes their 2-day meeting, and we will get an announcement on whether we're going to get a rate hike, a rate cut, or a pause. So before I ask Robin what he thinks we're going to see.
This is what I think we're going to see is this chart here. The 75% rate hike that we expect from or 75% pause is the CME's prediction.
Yep.
And 24% rate hike. Do you see any scenario where we raise interest rates, David?
Honestly, any scenario, I don't want to say no, but probability wise, I would say maybe like a 10% chance they raise rates. But I definitely think we're going to pause. But it's also key to remember, guys, is we've had multiple FOMC members and Fed presidents come out and say, just because we pause does not mean we can't go back and raise rates again. So Now, before we get into the crypto markets, let's go ahead and bring on one of our favorite guests, none other than the man himself, Crypto Lifer. Mr. Lifer, how are you, sir?
He's
We're gonna get you unmuted here in a second, my friend. Lifer, I feel like as we're unmuting you here, I feel like it's been way too long since you've came on our show, and I would like to know why have you waited so long to join our show? Hold on one second. We're gonna unmute you. Oh, there we go.
Check.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. What took you so long? Was last
First,
time you
I
on
wanna
the
say
show
thank
was
you
like
so
a
much.
month ago, man? Is it because
Thank you
Robin
so
said something via text to make you mad?
You know what it was? Is the time we were supposed to go live recently, I was traveling in Miami. You know what I mean? And I was spending all my time in my hotel room, like doing updates for the trading group. And then I wanted to get out. And so, like, I think one day when I got to Miami, and then my dad passed away, man, to be honest. Like, and when my dad passed on May 2nd, I took a little step away, not from like, I still did what I did, but like, I had to go see my mom. Like,
Yeah.
Real life became priority for once in my life instead of my YouTube life, you know. And I also was retrospective, and I still think about my dad every day. It's like hard not to mention him. I'm like, people are probably sick of me saying it, but you know, I'm the type of person, like, I'm gonna mention my dad's name, Jimmy Price, man, every day, man, because I can't forget him, and I don't want people to forget him. And so yeah, it's just been transitional, and then I was just traveling. But I feel like I want to be here, man, as much as humanly possible. I love you guys.
Yeah, man.
I really-
You know, I lost my dad. It'll be 6 years this year, and it just becomes a new reality. But for me, I just think about what I'm doing now and how that would make him proud. And I'm sure you know you've continued to live stream to your community. And I feel like, you know, your dad would be extremely proud of the person he's raised. And of course, I was giving you a hard time by not joining us, but we do love having you on the show, man. And I'm happy to have you on today. We saw massive dumpage in the crypto markets last week. We saw Cardano get to almost 20 cents. Solana broke the $13-14 mark. Polygon Matic was briefly under, I believe, 50 cents. Just to take a look at where we are in the markets right now, and then we'll get into the charts. So we have on CoinMarketCap, so we're barely hovering over $1 trillion in total market cap, volume pretty low at 30.4 billion. But we saw Bitcoin and the ETH dominance climb as the altcoins bled off. Again, Cardano, Solana, Polygon, some of the other big ones down over 20%. And Bitcoin stayed above 25.5. Speaking of Bitcoin, we are currently sitting at 25,868. Lifer, what are some levels you're looking for? And maybe talk us through what happened when everything crashed and how Bitcoin was able to hold that key 25.5 level.
Thank you so much for jumping on in with me and looking at these things. Let me just get a few things squared away on my charts, and we can jump on in. You know, today I did something interesting on my channel that I wanted to do, and basically show you how like the altcoins look a little weak, to be honest. So, you know, you have to realize that retail, whoever's left in the market, right? First of all, majority of retail has been scared out, but you still have institutions and people that are looking to grab on the low. You know, like one idea, and it's not crypto exactly, but it's crypto related, right? Kathy Wood, ARK Invest, right? They jump on in and buy Coinbase on the low, right? After that dumpage, thinking, hey, you know, saying, hey, they still believe the market can recover and they want to get in on those, you know, those bloodthirsty prices, right? Buy in when there's blood in the streets. Like that's what you have to do, specifically if you're a macro trader too, with like millions to billions of dollars. You can't be swing trading the smaller time frames. You have to make big calls on big moves, or, you know, so you see a big move to the downside. I mean, if you're not going to buy them, when are you going to buy, right? So if you believe in something, you take advantage of it. Behind me is the total market cap in all of cryptocurrency, right? And what's interesting, if you look at the total market cap, I got it in this like broadening rising wedge in a way. It almost kind of started to break this channel, right? We're getting this fallback. Like we lose $1 trillion market cap, we're headed down to this red line here at 891. Like pretty fast we'll go below 1 trillion. And we lose that, we could double bottom at 738. And if we lose that, I mean, that's, and I don't like to go too far. A lot of people are like 22K next week. And I'm always like, yeah, but we'd have to make a bear flag on the 4-hour time frame and then lose this level. But when I get away with the moving averages in a second and you just look clearly at this, you know, we are at a key level of support and resistance, like this green bar right here, where we kind of see these candles came up. So like we really need to defend this zone, right? Now, one thing I like to look at is total 3, and I don't see this mentioned a lot on other channels. Total 3 is the market cap of all of the altcoins, excluding Bitcoin, okay, and Ethereum. So it's all of the alts, like the smaller alts. We're talking Matic, Phantom, right? And you know what I saw was a shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder, which is still viable right now if we can get a recovery. But you know, we fell below a massive point of control here. We started to slip. This is our last level to kind of really hold, because you can see we bounced right here, and this is $341 billion, right, for the altcoins. Starting to slip. You know, our next big double bottom area for that is 290 billion. So we're starting to slip. And to me, when I looked at it earlier today, I looked at like the 15 and the 1 hour chart, and this is what's called a bear flag. All right. And it just, if you flip the chart upside down, that would be called a bullish rectangle. That's a bearish rectangle. And it even has like kind of a rising wedge feel to it because it's slightly going to the upside. Whenever I start to see this pattern, and just, you know, generally speaking too, you have resistance, and now you have a lower high, like that high was lower than that high. Every time you have a high, a low, a lower high, you have to assume you're going to make a lower low. And we're going to show you the levels for Bitcoin in a second. But this tells me that the altcoins, you know, if you look at the total market cap, we don't have the bear flag yet, right? We're actually kind of sitting at a nice bounce period. But here, for the altcoins, we don't look good. And if you look at Matic, if you look at Phantom, if you look at any of the major big coins, Polkadot, you're going to see that you're going to see this bear flag. Now, it doesn't mean we can't get a bounce, but right now it doesn't look amazing. The 4 hour chart is also getting a little overbought here on the stochastics RSI. The only good thing we see brewing is that we have low RSI, which could, you know, slowly get us a jump back to the upside. And whenever you move this fast down, like about 60% of the time, I see a move that fast right back to the upside. What the altcoins really need to do for me to feel any type of like confidence in altcoins is get back inside of this falling wedge. Like, just breach this channel. We got to get back inside this channel again. And this could be considered a bear trap, you know, where they got everyone thinking we're going lower, scare them, and then rip the price back to the upside into this zone here. So I'm really watching altcoins closely. I would love to see a recovery here. When this 4 hour resets, or the 1 hour mainly resets, we're going to see how much, you know, if the 1 hour can reset on the stochastic and we can kind of stay in this channel, there's a better chance that we can get a bump. But if this starts to slope down and we lose this level right here, which is going to be about $304 billion, I mean, it's very likely we're going to head lower to that 289 zone. Bitcoin, what made Bitcoin kind of hold?
Yeah, I was watching your show this morning, and I heard you saying that you're going long Bitcoin. Did I hear right?
Well, I opened up a long on Bitcoin, and I'll talk about when I did it and why. Right now, it's flat. The trade was up about 15%. Right now, it's completely flat. I didn't want it to be a scalp trade, so like that wasn't the plan, right? The idea is I'm a divergence trader, and even slight divergences can get me excited. So like the last time, people were still bearish here, right? We came to the zone, but I saw a swing down on price action, but I saw a swing up on the 8 hour time frame. And this kind of, you know, you can use, everyone always asks what time frame is the best for divergences. You tend to just keep looking for them in different places. And, you know, like a 15-minute can be strong. You just have to mesh in support and resistance with that idea. But what this divergence told me was that we would break this high. Basically, what divergence says is you'll make a high higher than the high in the divergence. Really doesn't tell you you're going to get much more than that. You know what I mean? Then you go from there for your next move. So like 1, 2, 3, we couldn't get back above 27,500, but we did that once the divergence occurred, right? But what happened? We're in a channel, right? And channel, you know, you could channel trade or pattern trade, right? Which I'm a pattern trader, but I use divergences. I use Fibonacci. I use multiple things. It's never just like one thing, support and resistance, VRVP. But like basic idea in a channel is up, down, up, down, up. I remember when the daily also got overbought here, and I said, like, it wouldn't be surprising if we just come to the bottom of the channel. Like I said that on my channel when we were up here. You can replay it and find it. And I said it a few times. Again, I was looking at some other intricate stuff as we went through the process because I never say it's guaranteed to do anything. I look at it on a day-to-day basis. But just generally speaking, we were overbought on the daily. Like if I flipped to the daily stochastics were high. See right here, they were getting above the dotted line. Your MACD was crossing, and it just, you know, another thing that I saw was if you can take price and take one, swing to swing and you get an uptrend, but you get a downtrend in volume, it's just telling you, I talk to my students and people that I teach, it's more like that's like price actions trying to go up, which is a car trying to drive this way, but it's losing gasoline, like it's leaking gas. Like volume to me is gas. It's what keeps you going in one direction. When you're falling with the volume and price is still moving up, you're likely to get a pullback, right? So what we're looking for is falling volume with falling price, which we're starting to get now, but we could see a little more slumpage, So Bitcoin pulled back, and then I was able to, by the grace of God, I always say, I was able to call this short for my trading group Friday night. I remember it specifically. And it's very simple stuff. Like this is a descending triangle. When you have a flat bottom and a sloping down top, you're likely to get a dump to the downside, the base of the triangle. And that happens like that. I've seen it 90% of the time. A descending triangle will dump, and it dumps straight. Like it always is this straight dump candle to the downside. So like I was able to see that. I put out a trade to my trading group. I said, I'm 90% short on this. Highly likely this is going to break down. I was like, you put a stop loss on the other side of the slope. You enter the trade here. And what I liked about the trade is you didn't have to risk a lot. Because say it was a trap where they ripped up and just tried to liquidate the shorts, you would have just gotten stopped out for a minimal. And then you were like, oh, well, I'm wrong. But this ended up playing out pretty nicely. What you can do to make money, this is what I always talk about, was I was watching Phantom. Once I see a descending triangle, I'll go to a short asset and I'll look for an ascending triangle, right? So I literally was in the movie theater with my daughter, got out of the movie theater, because I had told her I was going to take her for like a few weeks now. And finally it was like, she was like, say, Daddy, you promised. And I was like, all right, let's go. And I saw this. We saw Transformers 3, I guess, the Beast. That thing was insane.
I saw that last night. It was good.
I saw 3D. It was insane. Like, I'm not into really that as much, but it made me want to go get a little Optimus Prime Lego or something. I was just like, it was constant action, nonstop, just one thing after the next. Like the seats were moving. Like it was booming. But see, I saw this symmetrical triangle. We go back in time. So I just want to show people too, while we're showing levels to, how to make money in the market's going up or down. I don't want people to get depressed just because the market's going down. There's money to be made. So I saw this beautiful ascending triangle. Stokes were low, lack of bearish momentum. And again, what I just taught you guys is falling volume with falling price. You can see the volume falling off. It's telling you where are the sellers to sell off this asset. So this told me that Phantom was likely to go at least the length of the pole to the upside. It ended up making like a 55% gain, 50% gain. Now it's in a flag again. So just like I show the alts on Total 3, so like I don't get into an alt trade unless I look at the overall market like Total 3. And like to me, this is a bit of a flag. I mean, this is flagging out, what we call, and we could see to me, it's starting to look like we're going to see another dump in the altcoins. And again, I could be wrong, but just like I projected this idea, the projection is saying, hey, the altcoins may dump a little more, and Bitcoin could even slump a little more. So I have some bigger ideas too that I saved for you guys, but right now, I'm watching, this level right here, this channel right here, and take away this like cup and handle. I know I do a lot of smaller time frame and bigger time frame stuff, so I'll have like 50, 5 charts, all different stuff. But right now, Bitcoin is getting rejected by a key level, right? It can't get above 26,172. Can't really get back above 26K. And the 8s I found are key areas. When I say the 8s, I mean 800, 25,800, 26,800. I noticed this a long time ago. They like to pick the 800s for whoever the market maker, someone loves that 8, and they like to play around the 8. So right now we're at 25,791. We just lost 27,800. And what's somewhat concerning for me, if you're long, is we have a descending triangle beginning to form. And also when I go long, I want to explain to people that I'm long for certain, for a certain amount of time, but I have ideas that if certain things don't play out, then I'm ready to switch short or just not trade at all. Mondays are also called false move Mondays. I call them the worst day to trade. Sunday night into Monday is the worst time to trade. If you're a beginner and you learn like a really good strategy and you and you only traded it Sunday to Monday, you would find out it may not work as much. But if you traded Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you'd find you'd have a better probability of your actual trade working out, right? And that's just due to that's for me just doing this for years and feeling out when, because what they do is they wake up, they want to see where people are going. Everyone thinks that the price knows where it's going to go. Like the market makers know. But no, what they do is they look and see how many retailers, how many people are going a certain way. And however many people go a certain way, that can predict their move. It's kind of like they're waiting to see how many people are going short or long. Right now, majority of the people are short, right? The funding is heavy on the short side. So you have everybody short. Usually when everyone's short, it's not the best time to short. You know what I mean? Because everyone's been selling the price off. Now, and also you have to remember, everyone that went short from here, and here, they're in profits, but there's still greedy people here that have a bunch of stop losses in these areas. And they're like, I'm going to hold the trade in case it goes lower. If I was in a short right now, once we hit this double bottom, I would have gotten out of the short. But there's people so you have to remember, there's a lot of stop losses right here waiting to get kicked out. So I'm basically playing devil's advocate against the masses, and I'm staying in the long right now. But if this, what will throw me off of the long is if we fall through this and we start kind of doing this, and we get into this nose of this descending triangle, then I'm gonna close the long, and it's likely we're gonna get a bearish retest and dump, because that's just what descending triangles do. Right now we're inside what's called a symmetrical triangle, right? It's chubby, and we have a low 1 hour time frame, and I'm playing off that we're gonna break up possibly to this 200 SMA, especially when moving averages get tight and the 200 is outside. We'll get a move to the upside, and I'm looking for 26,500. And again, we got to break back above this at least. It's like before any bullishness at all, we got to get a daily or a 4 hour candle to close. I circle this above this zone, above 26,135. Like if tonight we're still below and we're hanging out, that's going to be a plus for the bears and a minus for the bulls. Like we really need to get back above 26,200 just for starters. From there, we can then look for another, some type of inverted head and shoulder or some type of pattern that could break us back to the upside. So I'm still long because I don't have a lot to risk. My stop loss is just right outside the zone. And if we start to even lose here, I might cut off the trade before I even hit the stop loss. One other thing that's got me a little, believing that we could get a move is this gap in the VRVP. Gaps in the VRVP are kind of like fair value gaps. Is an area where we should move through price action until we get to this next high volume node. So I'm honing in on the fact that this 1 hour will get us a move to the upside, and we could get a break further up, and then we can start the channel back up. Also, if you just look at the channel, we hit the bottom of the channel twice. We hit the bottom here. You should come to the top of the channel. So like we went bottom here, we went top here, we went bottom here. We still haven't come back to the top of the channel. So pattern trading 101, we should hit the top of the channel. We have a gap in the VRVP, and we have a symmetrical triangle, which is a 50-50 shot, really. It doesn't give you a lot of probability one way or the other. And that's kind of where I sit right now for Bitcoin. So we lose this key level where this double bottom happened at 25, we're likely to go a lot lower, right? Like if you want to look at like the weekly chart, what I also don't love about the weekly per se is that I love trading the simple moving average. I'm very, I try to trade it simple. And all week I was talking about the fact that we can't break below the 200 SMA on the weekly. And we did that. If we can't get back above this yellow line right here by next week, really, or by the next candle close on next Sunday night, that's also going to spell trouble for Bitcoin, in my humble opinion. And I have some bullishness that I can show out in a little while. We have some bullish stuff, but we're not going to show it to you yet. Let's jump into some other topics and kind of dangle that carrot for everyone else,
Well, Sam, we always appreciate your take. It's such a fresh and welcome and just very unique aspect of
Is that Seth?
Of the markets.
Is that Seth? I know that voice.
There he is.
Oh my gosh,
Yo,
what just
mind your
happened?
biz.
Don't let anybody in here.
Yo, mind your biz, man.
He was
My
over here
man.
banging
Yo.
on the door outside. I'm like, who is that? And I'm like, oh.
I heard the voice.
Oh.
I'm like, I know that voice anywhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, it was unexpected as anyone, or I was as taken off guard as anyone by being able to just stop by the Sin City Crypto Studios. And as always, these guys know hospitality like nobody in crypto. I think we can all agree that's true. That the Sin
Like,
City
don't you have a
Crypto-
drink with some water next to you already? And like, where's his chicken? Did he order him a chicken sandwich?
Good grief, these guys, like seriously, like their grandmothers are, I'm sure, like very, very proud. All four of them are very, very proud. Like these guys know how to do
Grandmas.
But no, I mean, I actually sat in and I gathered around the fireside and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like every single time that Sam's on, I mean, it's pure alpha, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I've been over here trading his calls here in real time on my cell phone. So, thanks. There you go.
Man. Sam, we are gonna have to let you go, my friend. We appreciate you joining us. We'd love to have you on a little more regularity. Your community is amazing. They love you. We love you. And I can't imagine anyone watching is not already subscribed to Crypto Lifer on YouTube. But if you're not, just simply click the link in the description of this video. And Lifer, before we let you go, brother, anything, any knowledge or anything you want to leave us with, a trade you're looking at entering, or just some alpha you want to give us?
Besides the long that I'm in that I'm holding on, is just this one last thing I want to talk about is just this 5-day Gaussian channel, which is interesting. If you go all the way back, to 2015, right? Like way back, which is amazing. This thing has been like notoriously pretty dang accurate. Even back down here, when we get, if this green zone that turns to red, right? And a lot of times when you turn to red on a bigger 8-day, you get the bottom, number one. But once we break through the red channel, we tend to go sideways for a while, and that begins the beginning of what's a consolidative period of a higher low before we get a bigger move to the upside. So that's one thing right off the bat. Secondly, so that happened there. Right, here we are again in 2019. Once we got up, now we had the pandemic and the thing, but we still got a run up once we got above there from 6,000 all the way to 13,000, which was 100% move for Bitcoin. Then we had the pandemic. We kind of slipped back into the channel. So that one time we did break inside the channel again and we got dumped on. But again, what I want to teach people, though, is these are definitely value areas to be buying BTC. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say should be put in as financial advice. But I mean, getting in below the Gaussian channel on the 5-day chart is almost like a win-win. You know what I mean? It's just like something I don't want to miss. Whenever I see that, I'm gobbling it up. It coincides with the 2-week chart being super low on the stochastics, and simple indicator that you can just use is the fear and greed index. I mean, it's free, it's cheap, it's easy, it's there all the time. When this gets into the dotted line and you're below that Gaussian channel, you're buying like some of the best prices that Bitcoin can provide for you, And again, I can't guarantee anything, but I've done it 4 times in my life now where I've bought outside the Gaussian channel, 2-week stochastics are low. And this is if I can get this to it was at 9 when the Ukraine was going to have like a nuclear meltdown that night, which it's funny. I was sitting there, it was like 1 a.m. They're like, they're shelling a nuclear facility. And I was like, that makes no sense to me. I was like, they're going to blow up like their own troops right near it. And I said, this article is FUD, man. I'm buying Bitcoin right now. And the next day they were like, no, like it didn't melt down. Like the shells weren't as far. But like that night, the article said like a nuclear facility is burning down. Like it was like, but people will use any type of nuance to add more fuel to the fire, no pun intended, to make things seem far more atrocious on the news because they're trying to sell you. They're trying to get your attention away from the game you're watching or, from the date you're on with your wife, whatever it is, So just remember that whenever you read news, take it with a grain of salt. Don't go all in or all out on just news. And that's why I like the charts. The charts will calm you down. Like I didn't need news to know that this was probably a value area to buy Bitcoin on the low. We also had a weekly bullish divergence. And the bullish divergence also was established in the 5-day chart. So the whole thing is this. We're back above and we're outside of the channel. And we're making this beautiful flag. And stochastics, when you go from dotted line to dotted line and you only go sideways in a flag, this is a bullish consolidation for me. Like this is telling me that we could easily get a move up to 38,000. And if the Fed doesn't raise rates on Wednesday, right, that's going to push risk on assets out there. Like the S&P is also looking bullish. S&P just broke a high that it hasn't broken since back in like November. It's looking a little more bullish too as well. One thing I will say is they have to fill up the TGA, which is the general account, the Treasury general account. When they do that, they're quantitative tightening. They're taking money away from bank loaning, from pushing money out there like easily, but like they did before when they had low interest rates and anyone could grab stacks of money. So if the Fed then raises a rate at the same time that the TGA fills, it's going to be an extra crunch in the economy, and it's going to make it look like they did too much. So I feel like they can't raise rates. They're kind of stuck. So with that being said, there is still some bullishness for Bitcoin. This falling wedge should break up 68% of the time to the upside. And it's another reason why I'm long in this channel. But I'm watching it closely, and I know the smaller levels to watch in case we lose those levels. Because if we get out of that, if that turns into an descending triangle here and it gets lower, we could easily fall out of this channel and then retest the 24,300 area, even down to maybe 23.6. And one last thing I have to say is the CME gaps that everyone wants to know about. We just made one pretty recently, but if we look at it on the daily time frame, we have a CME gap down here at 21,008, and we have a CME gap here at 34,009. Which gap do you guys think you're going to fill first? That's a cool question you guys could ask people today on the channel. Maybe make a poll out there in the chat. But which gap do you think is going to fill? 20,008 or 34,900? Yesterday, I got a 54 to like 40, 46%. It was very, very close. So I couldn't get too much of a read on the populace on that idea. So I do see some bullishness still. Alts don't look amazing right now. And some key levels really need to hold for us to kind of remain even somewhat bullish here for Bitcoin. Yeah.
I think you're, there's a lot of people in TA that say, I don't follow news at all. I just look at charts. I think you're a great example of how to make the two kind of coincide and live in harmony, where you know what's going on with the news and then you go to the charts and you kind of, because trading is all about keeping an even keel as far as your emotions. You start trading based on emotions, you're going to lose your shirt. But that is a great question. So let's go ahead and ask the chat.
Yeah. Put a 1 in the chat if you think we're going to go to 20K. I think you said 20,700.
Yep.
And then put a 2 in the chat if you think Bitcoin will move up to basically 35K, right? It was like 34.
Yeah, 34.9, 35K. Yeah.
So 20K or 35K, 1 for 20, 2 for 35. So
And with that being said, Lifer, as always a pleasure having you on. Guys, go support Crypto Lifer. If you want to learn more, I believe he has a paid course as well. You can find all the information, follow him on all of his socials, and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Sam, Price, Crypto Lifer.
The last thing, we teach a class. It was every Tuesday, but just for my schedule got kind of mixed up, but it will be the last Saturday of every month. And, it's for your protection. Don't jump into trading. This is a cool example. Someone gives you a soccer ball. They've never taught you anything about soccer at all. And they're saying, go. And you're like, you don't know what offsides is. You pick it up with your hands because you don't know you can't use your hands, right? You're getting red flagged all over the place. You don't know how to score. You don't know what you're doing. If you're going to begin to trade and you want to, get into the investment world and change your life, you got to learn at least the basics of technical analysis. And I teach a great course which gives you all the indicators that I use. You'd be able to, if you saw me again after the course, you'd be able to follow along with my analysis spot on, and it really will help and protect you. That's the main. And I put in the courses that I've seen charge $2,000, $3,000, and it's $99 for basically 2.5 hours of your time. You get a copy of it. You get a copy of my my 9-point checklist that I go through before I get into any class, and you get some also divergence charts and a price action chart too that will kind of help you get. And I give you some homework that you got to put in the work to kind of get to the next level. So yeah,
Amazing.
That's the last thing I want to say. And thank you guys so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. You that soccer analogy you gave sounds like my 8-year-old. Not fun. Thanks again, brother. We'll see you next time.
all right, brother. Good seeing you.
God bless you both. Thank you so much for your time.
Take care, man. Man, that was literally my 8-year-old. I was like, I want to play soccer. Okay, go play. He's like, he's over there picking it up with his hands. And anyways, so we have some breaking news. Warren Davidson officially filed to get Gary Gensler fired. He filed the SEC Stabilization Act to restructure the SEC and fire Gary Gensler. This is a quote. U.S. capital markets, let me do this. U.S. capital markets must be protected from a tyrannical chairman, including the current one. That is why I'm introducing legislation to fix the ongoing abuse of power and ensure protection that is in the best interest of the market for years to come. It's time for real reform and to fire Gary Gensler as chair of the SEC. Rob, I want to ask you first, and then we're going to ask our friend Seth.
Can we get a proper introduction for Seth?
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A little ninja here. Seth's,
All right.
guys, if you're not familiar with Seth, you might know him as Mind Your Biz. And by mind your business, he's not telling you to mind your business. Well, maybe it is, but he's got a background in software and tech. And so he's visiting here, drove in from, I believe you were at the convention down in California. And so he made a pit stop in Vegas, and we're excited for you to join us. So Seth, please bless the stream with your presence.
Well, I kind of feel like are we doing a crypto show here, or are we going to televangelism?
Oh,
We're doing both.
it's everything,
It is
man.
always kind of
If
both.
if you're not familiar with this channel, you're new here from the Lifer community. We sometimes talk crypto, but it's always
We talk
entertaining.
crypto.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I guess if you call it the gospel crypto, you get 2 for 1, right? We're
Yeah.
always evangelizing. But yeah, my name is Seth. I am fully doxxed, right? I go by Seth Estrada. I go by the handle Mind Your Biz. I run the channel Mind Your Biz. I have 2 channels right now that I'm juggling and doing some interesting publishing between the two with shorts versus long form content. But yeah, I've been in the crypto industry for over 5 years now, and do a lot of developer interviews, do a lot of sort of early fundamental interviews with projects. Really like covering projects when they're grassroots and early stages. Not that I have anything against VC-backed projects. I really don't, but I tend to prefer the more grassroots stuff that is much more geared towards the cypherpunk ethos, right? Something where you got projects saying, we're going to build our way, we're going to build on our terms, we're going to make markets out of pure sentiment, basically, as opposed to VC backing.
Right.
And so that's really been more the emphasis of my channel. And I also cover a lot of privacy and security content, hence the Mind Your Biz, really intense focus on Mind Your Biz. I really do want people who hold their own crypto to be able to say that to the central banks and be able to say that to the regulators and be able to say that to anybody who they choose. Just tell them to mind your biz. You want to know what's in my wallet? Mind your biz.
So I stand corrected. That is what he means. My apologies.
That's a Chandra.
Now, since camera's on you, let's keep the camera on you. Let's ask you this question. Gary Gensler, there's some people want to get him fired. Okay. You think that's enough to spark a big rally, maybe even put us into the bull market for crypto?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, definitely, your sentiment being what it is. We live and die by that fear and greed index that Sam showed earlier, and sentiment rules these markets. We've known this for many, many years in a way that you almost can't get sentiment to affect other markets or any other asset classes. So even just the news, right, just the rumor of Gary Gensler maybe being put in the hot seat could move the market a little bit. Now, to what extent, I don't know, but that's real alpha. And by alpha, I mean the Investopedia definition: 5% move, 5% swing, maybe. And I do think that that's going to be a reality. Now, whether or not that bears out to any real enforcement action or any real punitive action being taken against Gensler, well, spoiler alert: only the POTUS can assign and dismiss that person, the chair of the SEC. This is an assignment. This is not an elected official.
Right.
They're not hired. There is no board that gets to vote whether or not his shares are revoked or offer him to buy back his equity in the business. And the SEC has no charter to go and make a profit. So he's held to very different standards from what we're normally used to seeing in terms of accountability to a chair or to an advisor or to a CEO.
Right.
So I see this and I think, all right, it's probably bullish for the most part, but to what extent? It's not going to be some like life-altering thing that 6 months from now we all say that was the deciding moment that kicked off the bull run. In my opinion, I think a few intraday moves we're going to see. I think maybe this week it'll be exciting in crypto because of the news, but realistically, David, I don't see it playing out for more than maybe a week of the news cycle.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm kind of torn because I believe that people are just yearning for some positive information, but I feel like a lot of people are just broken down, man. I mean, you saw what happened with Binance and the lawsuit from the SEC. The market started tanking, and then the next day, Coinbase got served essentially the same thing. Of course, there weren't these criminal implications of money laundering or whatever, but the markets didn't do anything. They moved up a little bit. So I think there's some fatigue in the market. Is Gary Gensler getting fired? Is that enough of a jolt, right? A spark to make the markets come alive, make the average investor here in the US, the retail investor, start pouring money in? I think more of it will have to do with what the Fed does. And I think you brought up some great points, Seth, and the TGA. It just depends. Are they going to issue bills? Are they going to issue bonds? And at the same time, what's the Fed going to do? And that'll see how the money market markets play out and where people start shifting their money, because the money was moving away from banks into money markets. Now, will those money market funds start moving into more risk on assets like stocks and crypto? That remains to be seen. But I want to get Robin's take on this. He's been awfully quiet.
It's time for Gary to go, man. It is time for Gary to go.
But is it enough for a big market rally?
No.
Are you with Seth
no,
on this one?
No, I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough momentum if he were to leave to bring a bull market, right? What fuels a bull market is volume, liquidity, especially new users. If you want new all-time highs or new local highs, you're gonna need new money. And I don't think that the exodus of Gary Gensler is going to rally the market and bring a new surge of liquidity in. And the liquidity is drying up in the U.S. And so if Gary leaving means that all of a sudden Coinbase and Binance.us and Gemini and every exchange that has been booted out of the United States, if these exchanges one by one are listing their tokens again, they're offering their services, and the users here in the States are providing liquidity and volume, then yes. But I just don't see that happening. What has been destroyed by Gary Gensler, what he has done recently, I think is going to take some time to patchwork. And I mean, I don't know, man. I think that's just my thing. I'll just say that it's time for him to go, and you don't need to look any further than his previous. You don't need to look any further than his previous where he was the House committee hearing. He was testifying. He sounded like a mess, right? DJ, we will pull up my laptop real quick. So here we have a clip, and then this one is pretty.
You recognize? How would you categorize?
So this is Chairman McHenry. He is interviewing Gary Gensler here, and just listen to. And I'm sure we've probably already seen this, but just to refresh, he's simply asking: is Ethereum a security or commodity? And you get no clear response or answer from Gary Gensler.
You recognize? How would you categorize Ether then?
Look, I think that the general sweep of what Congress did, not just in the 30s, but as amended.
I'm asking you,
here,
sitting in your chair now, to make an assessment under the laws as exist. Is Ether a commodity or a security?
without speaking to anyone.
I know you've repeatedly said you're not going to speak to one, except you've spoken to one, Bitcoin. So I'm asking you to speak to a second one, the second largest market cap here.
And speaking to the tokens, there's 10 to 12,000. If there's a group of entrepreneurs,
I'm asking about one.
Public is
yeah,
This video's annoying.
It is annoying. But that's the whole point.
Not speaking to, yeah, we get that, bro. We understand. You know what's funny is it's not just Congress people that are piling on him. Listen to look at this clip, okay? So I got this clip on. Let's pull up my laptop. We got this clip from. It was an interview that was done by Bloomberg. This is Dan Moorhead, founder of Pantera Capital, with Jay Clayton, former chair of the SEC. You might remember him. He's the one that brought the lawsuit on Ripple before he left. Well, here's what he had to say. Just watch Jay Clayton's reaction when he's asked about Gary Gensler.
You got him muted.
All right, there we go. All right, let's play this back and just watch his reaction and hear what they have to say.
How do you see it? Do you agree with Secretary Gensler's moves? If you were SEC chair, would you have taken these moves?
Look,
You hear that pause? You hear that pause? Just listen and listen to his disdain, okay? Just listen.
If you were SEC chair, would you have taken these moves?
look, it's his leadership now. He's been in this position for over 2 years. Where they've gone with this, I'm not going to be the person who throws bombs or second guesses from the sidelines.
How do you see it? Do you agree with?
So the first thing he does is he does one of these. It's like even his own colleagues, right? Typically these people, they support each other because it's like if you defame the position that you once had, that makes you look bad as well. And so he's not going to come out here and say the SEC is doing a terrible job or they're horrible, but he's not giving a vote of confidence to what Gary Gensler is doing, right? I mean, and there are ripple effects that come to that. And
ripple effects.
Yeah.
Is that a play on words?
That is a little bit of play on words. One of them is this, is what the theme of today's show is. Companies leaving the U.S. to go overseas. As Hong Kong legislator encourages Coinbase to set up shop in their city under new crypto rules. It's a source from Forecast. Johnny Ng, a member of the Hong Kong Legislative Council and China's advisory body, tweeted on Saturday that he welcomes global virtual asset trading platform operators, including Coinbase, to expand to Hong Kong. On June 1st, Hong Kong rolled out new rules for virtual asset trading platform operators, otherwise known as crypto exchanges, in a move that could potentially set an example for other jurisdictions to embrace crypto. And then we had this. The largest VC firm, A16Z Andreessen Horowitz, bets on the UK as US erupts with crypto uncertainty. Venture capital giant Andreessen Horowitz has revealed plans to launch its first international office in the UK. They went on to say, quote, we have been working with policymakers and regulators across the globe, and during our discussions, it has become clear that the UK government sees the promise of Web3, with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak suggesting the UK can become a hub of Web3 innovation. That is what they wrote, and they kicked it off by investing $43 million into a new Web3 startup. A16Z is the largest VC in the world, with about $35 billion in assets under management. Its expansion into the UK reflects its continued belief in blockchain technology's potential and the country's potential to become a hub for the nascent market.
If the infrastructure goes to UK, which it seems like it's naturally going there, right? Because it's getting booted out of the US. And now venture capital is going over there as well. It wasn't that long ago, realistically speaking, that the UK was the world reserve currency. Don't need to look any further than World War II. That's when we switched over from the pound as the global standard for trade to the dollar. And so could we see another passing of the baton here? Could the U.S. fall behind to other countries, particularly the UK? Seems to be making the most progress, and even just the EU with the MiCA bill. No, man, I think that be careful what you ask for, Gary Gensler, because in booting everything out, you're going to fall behind in this financial sector, this new emerging technology, which is blockchain. I do want to give a quick shout out. We have a lot of new people here. If you are new, make sure you say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. Also, we are at a less than a 50% like ratio.
Unacceptable.
Do you not like this show? I will. That's yeah. I got nothing else to say. Like, you don't like the show? Like, what's going on? All right. So if you're new here, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. We have a few new people. I got Food Offensive Benny, Mark Sanji, Ahmad, Legos for Lifer, SBK, Darth Dude, Michael M, Stay Golden, David, Ken Mac, Chris M, Joey, Viv, Nova, In Out, Due Time. Also CK, Jackie Tucker, Black Mamba, Ragvendra, Alex 81, Black Mamba,
my favorite player in the world.
And then also we got Pote Head. And also Jay Waffleman. There's a lot of names in here today, so glad to see the turnout. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
Okay. Piggybacking off of the article we just read, I have another video. This one is from the same interview. This is Dan Morehead talking about why it's in the U.S.'s best interest to keep innovation onshore. Go ahead, DJ. Yeah, let's pull this thing up.
Is this thinking that as the SEC is widening its pursuit of crypto pretty aggressively, that the U.S. is ultimately turning its back and won't have a role globally? Do you see it that way? Dan, do you see it that way?
Well, I think it is a risk, because if you think about the internet, literally, the government literally built DARPANET, the internet in the U.S., and all of the major internet companies are based in the United States or a Chinese version of them. And so I think as an American citizen, that's great, that it accrues to our country. Blockchain really is the polar opposite, that regulation in the US has been scary enough that 19 out of the top 20 protocols are outside the United States. And at a time last year, 95% of all trading of crypto assets was offshore of the United States. And, again, I think there's definitely some bad actors, like Jay said, that really need to be criminally prosecuted. But most people are using crypto for very legitimate, very, very important reasons. And it's better to have it happen in the United States. So I'd love to see that flip.
Is this thinking that?
So we're gonna go to another clip after this. But interesting, he says 19 out of the 20 top protocols are outside of the U.S. He compares it to the age of internet infrastructure and the importance for national security. That development in that technology happened here in the States. And now we're seeing arguably the next big technology that's going to change the financial system being driven overseas. There was, again, like I said, one more that I want to bring up, and that is going to be this one. So in this next one, Dan Morehead talks about
investors really do want
investor money. So the moderator asked Dan and Jay Clayton, but we're only going to show Dan's response. The question of, when the Binance and Coinbase lawsuits came about, were you getting phone calls, and what were those phone calls about? So let's go ahead and cue up the laptop, and let's see what Mr. Morehead had to say.
So investors really do want to have more clarity. before they're going to commit larger amounts of money to the space.
Did you see a pullback at all this week?
Oh, I think so. I mean, people are
in your work specifically.
yeah. Investors that we talked to are all, essentially waiting to see where the dust settles, and there's definitely a lot of uncertainty in the market right now.
Robin, is the bull market canceled until we get regulatory clarity and we start getting investor money poured back
The
in?
bull market canceled. I feel like
No,
because
that
of
is
thunderstorms
like,
here.
It sounds funny, but that is a legitimate question. Is there too much uncertainty for A, retail FOMO, B, investor money?
What you can't stop is the having the supply shock that follows. Now, how high do
But if there's no demand, it doesn't matter.
No. You're going to get a rally in the price. Now, whether or not we have a shorter bull market, whether or not we reach lower price targets than a lot of people are expecting. I mean, we assume it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to break all-time highs in the next bull run. But I mean, if there's a lack of liquidity, there's a lack of regulatory uncertainty, and a lack of new money coming into the system, I find it hard to believe that Bitcoin will be in the $70,000 range if all holds true and there's no progressive movement towards some sort of clarity here in the States. And it's not just the U.S. that sets the precedents for crypto trading institutions and the rules that follow. We kind of set the bar. And we are also pretty ambitious to go after people, freeze bank accounts, and steal money, essentially, in a lawful way. And we do that against other crypto companies. We see the SEC right now attempting to freeze assets from Binance and Binance.us. They've filed a restraining order or whatever the process is. And that's real. And that's going to continue unless something changes. And I don't know how we're supposed to bring in trillions of dollars, because remember, the market cap right now of all crypto is around 1 trillion, right? And if we're expecting a new all-time highs come in the next bull run, we have to be around $3, $4, $5 trillion market cap for all of crypto. And at this moment, with the regulatory uncertainty, I just don't see it. But I'll say this. You're not going to stop the halving. You're not going to stop the supply shock. And there is going to be a big movement in crypto. Just how high does the next bull market go? That's my question.
You know what else you're not going to stop? You're not going to stop the Sin City hype man, Jimmy, from gifting 10 memberships to the community. So congratulations to all of you who are the proud recipients. Also, if you don't want to wait for another man to pay for your monthly membership, you can always go ahead and subscribe on your own. There's tons of different ways to support the channel. But all jokes aside, to all of you that support us, that watch us, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. I want to roll into something very interesting. And I'm happy we have Seth here with us, because apparently there is a legitimate debate on hard forking Solana.
Yeah, this is a credible risk when you have any kind of an institutional implosion with these VC-backed projects. There's a credible risk of having the community say, "Hey, we like the tech, like we're legitimately in it for the tech." So if we're losing your money, maybe we still there's a silver lining in that we still have this great tech. Well, the Solana code base, right? The Solana sort of validated infrastructure and the theoretical speeds of Solana, it has been tested in the past and found wanting, right, with the validated resets and stuff. Still, the theoretical max output of the Solana blockchain itself, it's really, really fast. That's the best way to put it. It's really, really fast.
Very user-friendly, too.
Yeah, people like it. Right? There are a lot of people who really do like Solana. And I mean, I've even known some Bitcoin maxis that as Solana started to hit peak adoption, they were tempted by that rather than Ethereum. It was kind of an interesting time when Solana really came into its own. Right. So now when you see, all right, well, you got these major custodial risks, right, and major institutional risks, and the risk of having that all of that infrastructure shut down because of regulatory interference or regulation via enforcement, as the case may be with our SEC here. Right. They're saying, okay, well, how do we take a step back and go more grassroots? Well, one way to do that is to take the code, fork it, and then kind of establish it as a grassroots project instead. So I think that Solana, I mean, this is possibly the highest expression of what Solana could be.
Well, here's the thing, and I want to get into the details of the article here a little bit. So there's a few reasons why they want to fork. Solana's blockchain faces trouble from all sides. The community is discussing a drastic measure. A hard fork would split the blockchain and its community, but potentially save Solana from regulatory trouble and its ties to FTX. The community is currently embroiled in discussions about a potential hard fork of the Solana blockchain. This comes in response to the SEC enforcement action and the collapse of FTX and Alameda Research. We know that Solana was deemed the Sam coin, the FTX token, but here we go. Almost 40% of voters said they would support a hard fork on Solana. This Caps JPEG, that's a Twitter handle, suggested that a hard fork would protect Solana from potential regulatory actions by the SEC, but also it would prevent the potential dumping of SOL tokens following the FTX's bankruptcy proceedings. We do know that Sam and company held a lot of Solana on their balance sheet. What happens if those have to be force liquidated? Now, Seth, people, the word hard fork is thrown out there and people are like, oh, it sounds really cool. It's not that big of a deal. What does it take? Like what are there's obviously pros, because if you want to do hard fork, there's pros. What are some of the cons? And in your opinion, the reasons that they want a hard fork, are those worth the potential drawdowns and the drawbacks of forking?
Yeah, those are two really loaded questions. We'll start with the first one and see if we can get through it. But as far as like the implications of a hard fork and how easy is that to do? Well, it's not easy for the most part. And with blockchains, if you're not familiar with it, we'll go to Blockchain School 101 here. I'll try to summarize this as best I can, kind of distill this. But with blockchains, you have this thing called consensus, right? Where either the validator nodes or the miners need to achieve a certain percent of the network of agreement, basically, by any other name. And if they disagree, there's a problem. This can create a contentious hard fork. It can create a full split of a chain. And we've seen this in the past with proof of work chains like Bitcoin into Bitcoin Classic or Bitcoin Cash and then BSV and Ethereum with Ethereum Classic. Now, with these newer proof of stake style coins, with newer proof of stake style networks, a hard fork could be as simple as just doing a clone of the state. You just say, all right, we're just going to decide that at this specific block height of this blockchain, we're just going to take all the code and we're going to go set up our own infrastructure and we're going to run everything that was running on that blockchain, but on our own infrastructure. It's not strictly speaking a hard fork or a contentious hard fork the way all these other hard forks have been, but it would be a departure from using the main chain of Solana, and then they'll have to rebrand it. They'll have to call it something else. The gas fee token will be something other than SOL. It'll be, whatever. It'll be Moon or like something. It'll be, Stella, like whatever they want to call it. They'll come up with something else that has this sort of heavenly body theme, and they'll just start running their own infrastructure. They'll be subject to the same kinds of hacks and attack vectors that Solana was, if you recall. It's very clearly been interfered with by anti-competitive third parties. And this new proposed fork of Solana is going to have those same risks. Same problems will be around, right? Same sort of predatorial practices, right, within the blockchain. Like, we don't like you guys, so we're going to try to bring down your chain. That could happen. But it requires a lot of computer power. If you looked at the specifications to run a Solana validator node, they're hefty. They're really hefty. I mean, David, I don't know if you're a systems admin at a major data center, but I'm not. So being able to run the validator infrastructure for Solana, I've heard from people that do that it's on the order of that level of technical expertise. It's really tricky. So this will not be a simple feat for whoever proposes to do this with the Solana, the current Solana code base, forking it into something new. They're going to have to really put their engineering hat on, and they're going to have to do that in numbers, right? They're going to need a lot of people to do it.
What can we say? I mean, okay, so we know that Ethereum has the #1 active developers. I believe Solana is #2. Does that help in any way as far as, or are those just based on dApps? Are they two separate things? I mean, you're more of an expert in this than I am. I'm just throwing a dart at this thing, but is that going to help at all? Them having a massive list of active developers that are working on the protocol.
In terms of incentives, right? You mean you need dApp development. You need a reason for users to go to this new fork, and so developers really help with that. They're going to make those dApps that give us all the cool functionality that we want to see on a new chain. And whatever it is, right? David, you're going to see your new favorite DEX be over on this chain, or they're going to add support for this chain. That'll be cool. Maybe if they get enough user support, we'll even see OpenSea, right, have their arm twisted to have to to be supporting this new fork of this chain. That's always in the realm of possibility, but that's just incentive. The hard limits, the material costs of just setting up hardware and then having people who are hardware specialists, not just dApp developers, but hardware specialists and systems integrators. It is a different thing. It really is. So I've got a couple of brothers who are full stack developers, whiz kids, they're amazing with code. But if you put a box of computer parts in front of them, they are lost. It's not the same skill set.
Right.
And even that is different from, trying to deploy a bunch of servers at scale inside of a facility. And even that is different from trying to rent servers from Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and other incumbent groups that run these cloud servers where you would need the infrastructure run for something like Solana. It's a different skill, partly what they call DevOps, right? Very different skill that it isn't development, and it definitely isn't dApp development. It's kind of parallel to it, but definitely not the same thing. Equally nerdy and equally hard, but just very different.
That makes sense. And then one last question on this topic for you. Let's say you are a Solana investor. You have a significant amount of money invested in Solana. Do you want to see this hard fork go through, or do you not? Does this make you nervous that there's even chatter about it? Put yourself in that person's shoes, because I know there's a few people watching that are in those exact shoes. How would you feel if you were those people?
Well, let me use a story. I had a consulting client hit me up once a couple of years ago and asked me to retrieve some Bitcoin that they had lost, some very old Bitcoin. The nice thing about old bags, and in this case, when any chain goes through a split or a fork, it's aged into becoming an old bag. This person, had I been able to recover their Bitcoin, turns out they were totally imagining ever having it. It was completely invented. Wow. But if I had ever been able to help them retrieve anything, we would have been able to claim the Bitcoin Cash fork, the BSV fork, the Bitcoin Diamond fork, the Bitcoin Gold fork, the Z Classic fork, and numerous other forks that were contingent on having really old bags of Bitcoin. Now with Solana, in my opinion, it might not fork more than just this one time.
Right.
But for most people who are holding a heavy bag, as long as you're not made totally upside down by the price action, getting additional free coins airdropped to you, all day, please.
I'll take some free cash.
Yeah, it's like a stock split. If provided you don't start, getting really negative price action, it's like a stock split. Historically, most stock splits wind up being positive for the investor.
Like a Tesla. Seriously, my buddy from the stock split literally made $3-4 million just because of stock split, and it got back up to its original price that it did before the split. Crazy. All right, well, we are going to wrap the show up. We do want to give one more shout out to channel sponsor CAMS Blue Wire Technology. If you want more information on how they can help your business with your IT and network solutions, visit bluewiretech.com. There is also a link in the description of this video. We want to give special shout outs to in-house guests Seth from Mind Your Biz, and also Crypto Life for joining us for the charts. I want to give a special shout out to my co-host Robin, who, if you guys saw literally behind the scenes what this man does, you would be thoroughly impressed. And so, Robin, we appreciate you, and you can appreciate him by hitting the like button on your way out. Seth, before we let you go, my friend, where can people find you if they want more of your, Crypto Billy said, big brained. You're definitely, man, you're one of the smartest people I personally know. And so if people want more Mind Your Biz, more Seth, where can they find you?
Able to be on the show. Thank you so much for, I keep fooling them, guys. They keep letting me back into the studio. So appreciate that.
Love having you here.
But if you go to sub.myb.lol, that'll automatically subscribe you to my main YouTube channel, or you can go to mindyour.biz and you can see what I'm doing over there.
Awesome, man. And man, anytime you're in Vegas, feel free to drop by. We will always accommodate you. And with that being said, DJ, I know you're new at this, bro, but you got to follow my lead, all right? DJ. My man. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, for starting your week with us here at Sin City Crypto. Make sure to come back tomorrow. Same place, same time. On behalf of all of us here, we love you guys. Until tomorrow, peace.
Sin City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.